Morning. Today's Elul, so good Yom Tov to everybody. The birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, founder of Chassidus, and the birthday of the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, who is the founder of Chassidus Chabad. Putting it into mind, not just as a faith, the Baal Shem Tov loved people. He didn't want people to be ascetics, to deny the body. He wanted people to love Hashem and to love each other. So I just thought we'd learn something from Tzivasiri Bash, the Will and Testament, which is not a will nor a testament. But that's what it's called. The disciples wrote the Baal Shem Tov's teachings. Welcome. So here's just, it'll give you a sense of the flavor of the Baal Shem Tov. So he says, many tried to be like Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, author of the Zohar, to be Tarasim Nasi, to live everything, to connect with Hashem through learning Torah. Also the Adam, but they weren't able to ascend to that height where you could live like that. Hagavana hi shahayaretz ma'asleis la'atzmim segufim. So the meaning of this teaching is that many tried, but they weren't able to do it. People wanted to be like the Rashbi, a genius of the soul and of the mind, devoting entirely towards that. And the thing that they did wrong is that they tried to mortify themselves to attain that, to deny the physical to such a degree that there's nothing left of them except a soul. But the Baal Shem Tov teaches on that. That's why, since they had that approach, that's why they didn't succeed in being like the Rashbi. Suggesting, had they not been like that and had they taken care of themselves, that would have been a more fitting vessel to attain, because it seems by their means they didn't really understand what it means to be Rashbi. So the Baal Shem Tov here is suggesting that there's an approach of joy to our devotion to Hashem. The only thing that you should devote your religion to, your devotion to Hashem, is simply to give delight to your Creator. And not that you should become anybody that you're not. That's not the intent. So they didn't have to fight against themselves to the point of self-mortification. Sigufim in Hebrew. They had to not do it for the reason of attaining anything. It's simply to be whoever you are, be the best you, because Hashem loves you. When someone sees that he's more committed than the next guy, he should not become proud of that. And don't say that I am better than my friend. So here's a beautiful example of the achdus, the unity and the equality amongst all Jews, that one is not greater than the other. Welcome. Everyone is supposed to be the best you can, and if you're succeeding, don't be proud of that. You're just trying to give nachas to Hashem. You are trying to have meaning in your life. Okay, so that's the Baal Shem Tov that I'm going to give you today. I want to now show how the Alter Rebbe approaches the same idea, the idea of joy. We were learning this mimer yesterday. It's the line beginning, the mimer line beginning, Tachas asher lo avadta Hashem alkacha b'simcha, since you did not serve Hashem with joy, that's why, and all the harsh predictions there in this week's parsha. I think it's the 6th aliyah. V'havin halayzehu madregas hatzadikim, we asked. Is this not something that only the righteous can experience, truly rejoicing in Hashem? So there's a time that you commit yourself to elevating yourself. The Beinoni, the average person who has discipline and control of themselves but doesn't have any joy in it, he's still working on himself, ascend to the level of tzaddikim, and a few times one of them is prayer. True authentic prayer truly equalizes anyone who, whatever level they're on, with anyone else, because it's all relative to the day before. You recreate yourself every moment in that way, and you have opportunity. The advice is prayer, and the advice is joy. We're going to see what means joy, what creates a joy in a soul. And that's where it will be where we left off from yesterday when we were doing this mimer. So you could see the connection with the Baal Shem Tov. Clearly, it's not about destroying ourselves and not taking care of our health and thinking that that's how we change ourselves. But we change ourselves do I have to open it up again? I opened it at random to that, to get a taste of the Baal Shem Tov. So the point there was to not do it for attaining anything, but to do it because you want to give joy. So I'm just going to go a little bit back and for a running start in the beginning of chapter 2. We were learning, welcome David, good to see you, or David. There are 2 types of love. There is one that is lit unto itself, and therefore it's expressed by al yedei hispaininus, the Havaya, to meditate about God being the creator of the world, the Havaya Echad, the one God. And this is like a flame that burns unto itself. Let this be for a meditation. There is no reason why, unless you're driving a car or something, or Tesla, you could probably still do this if you're in a Tesla. Do you really think there's going to be people having driverless cars? I haven't seen it yet. Here we're talking about a love that's automatically inspired. You don't have to drive the thing anymore. You don't have to whip the horse. It's just lit unto itself. Through this meditation of seeing how God creates you, and therefore you should be lit. And at that point, there is nothing else you could possibly want. We could end the class right there on that beautiful idea. So you could see how the Alter Rebbe takes down the spirit of the Baal Shem Tov and tells you how to get there. The Baal Shem Tov was inspiring people by the presence of someone so devoted and so in love with Hashem and so delighting in Hashem before their eyes, using that to help them and doing miracles for them as he went. The Alter Rebbe tells you, now how can you be like that? What makes someone lit? First, know that in your truest of souls, that's what you are. How do you bring that out? Simply meditate on that. And the true intent is, as we learned from the Baal Shem Tov, that is the true chassid, the one who does it to extend the nestling of the Shekhinah. Kaina is also nest. but it also means your maker. So you become an agent for Hashem. You want to do good for your maker. Hamischased, you try and show graciousness towards your maker. And look it up where it discusses the idea of Ava Batanugim, the love of delights, when it becomes the greatest thing you could possibly imagine and beyond, just to simply do the things that you're supposed to do. Ein Maschine Nispar Lekaman, safety mask with Gravdam Eila Isheb, Gabe Machina Zunik Shem Eila. This is related to the idea of prayer and the idea of its origin, which is the temple service of sacrifices, one of which was called an Eila, the ascending, the burnt offering went up to Hashem. Lafisha Eila Malel, because it burns on its own. So when prayer is inspired and it's authentic, it actually goes on its own. We ask Hashem to do that in Shemona Esrei. Open our lips and my mouth will sing your praise. And the second type of love is that you want to attain that experience. You want simply to feel that Hashem, to have the dveikus to Hashem. You want to feel that. The other level, the Ava B'Tanugim, is feeling that. This is wanting to feel that. That's the second type of love. One is a wanting and one is a experience of it. And it's the fire that burns on its own. That's the way the Alter Rebbe put it here. Which exists within every single Jew. That's why we're commanded in the Shema, you shall love Hashem. That you should desire that Hashem should be your God. In other words, everything in your world is dedicated to bringing the infinite divinity of Hashem into it. So you're an ambassador of a Hashem. That's the way that it's expressed in Chabad. We all become these people that want to shine the light of a source of wisdom that we're certain is divine. So the first type of love, the Ava B'Tanugim, is for the very elite, accomplished masters of the soul. That's the note from the Tzemach Tzedek on this. V'zeu Kabbalas mashakasav b'Kriyas Shema rak she'i efshar ledav v'kabay yisparach ki leis machshava tfisa bei. And how are you supposed to do this when there is no thought that contain Hashem? How could you cleave to Him? Shui yisparach nikra stima dechol stiman, because Hashem is called the most hidden of all hidden. The Tmira dechol tmirin, and most veiled and contained. Because there are worlds that are called hidden, that transcend even the world to come, which I don't really know what that means. And Hashem always alludes in that sense. Impossible to grasp, no thought, and therefore no conscious being can experience Hashem. So how are we supposed to cleave to that, to Hashem, and if that defines Hashem, this inability to define? Because no created consciousness can grasp its creator. They are an utter product of Hashem's will. The ken tmir dechol tmirim kol echad ki'im al yidei hatera. So how do you connect to infinity? Hashem gave you a interface called Torah. Torah is a system expressed within wisdom that allows you for your thought, which is finite and your thought cannot contain Hashem, you end up accomplishing that through this mechanism called Torah, this system of teachings. V'zehu v'dibartavam. That's why the Shema goes on to say, you shall love Hashem and you should speak in them. Torah is always communicated. We never keep our Torah to ourselves alone. You speak them because the light of Torah, no, the letters of Torah rather, same thing, have the shine from Hashem. So Hashem is ke'ilu, like a luminary that shines light. The light is the shining from Hashem is the Torah. Kimashal keach hatzemeach v'eiseis hamachshava. Now, the idea of Torah is likened to water, which descends, meaning that you take wisdom and you put that system of wisdom into a very physical thing. So the sweetness of an apple has many levels of understanding. Sometimes it's intended to be a symbol of something beyond it, and ultimately through the sphera of chesed, we learn in Chassidus. The sweetness in an apple comes from the sphera that God creates called chesed, and you're just connecting with that in a very low frequency called apple. It's a physical thing that if you threw it at your friend, it's not like eating it, and like a dignified young cannibal. Now, so the man was given only to those, the Torah was given rather only to those who ate the man. The manna became a means of expressing how they contain energy. This contains energy. You eat manna. It fuels you. The thoughts of Torah give you life. Kital teres talecha. That your dew is the dew of light. So light is recognizing where your source. When you had like a manna cracker, if you're munching on a few manna chips, right? That would be energy to you. You would be able to learn the Torah in a deeper way, and you would be able to understand the world in a much deeper way. To give you the idea that when we say that God's dew is light, you're understanding that Torah is your ability to navigate the world in a luminous, shining way. So you get the dew is the manna, the ability to be nourished from the Torah, and expressed by the blossoming of thought, of ideas. So when you interact with the world, that world is a very physical, tangible the plains of Abraham, the location, the plane where it takes place, where you can apply wisdom now because you have a world of symbols that you're interacting with that you want to interact with in a way that reflects Torah's wisdom. That becomes the light. Okay, so I'm embellishing a bit. V'zeu v'Torah er. That's why we say that Torah is the light. Shehi ha'ara ha'me'ein seif baruch hu. It is the shine from the infinity of Hashem. Va'az l'zeisiya simcha gdela. And that's what gives you great joy. So now we're tying in. We said the whole thing was achievable through joy. You could jump to the level of tzaddik through joy, and we say that particularly, let's comment, to the conclusion, it says that's more accessible on Yom Tov and Shabbos. Days, holidays are times where the joy is tangible and much more real, resembling the way it is Simchu Tzadikim B'Hashem, the way the righteous rejoice in Hashem. So the connection between attaining this, something that's reserved for the Bnei Aliyah, the very elite, is through joy. The Baal Shem Tov reached out to simple people and taught them this. The Alter Rebbe takes that type of wisdom that shines at every level, including the children that gathered around the Baal Shem Tov in the little villages that he'd visit, and their parents, and the town would be lit. He would shine on the people. The Alter Rebbe gives you ability to take that away, not just as a good memory of like Lahavdil, like Gandalf visits the town and everyone's happy, they make a party for someone's birthday. It becomes something that children can relate to. And a child in the advancement of the soul, therefore becomes equal to the tzaddik in that moment, in resembling the tzaddik in his natural delight in Hashem. One is lit through joy to now attain not just a yearning, but something that resembles the attainment of that itself. Through joy is the way to bridge that gap. In case I don't have time to finish, that was sort of the end point of this. And okay, so what that looks like, we'll describe now. Maybe we'll call it a morning. Probably people are going to be waking up soon, and maybe they'll to join us. Welcome, Marcus. The way infinity communicates with this world is through Torah. It's the shining of infinity in the world. And being that that's what Torah is, it's the shining of infinity and meaning and purpose in the world. Therefore, it's a great joy to live like a Jew and enjoy and celebrate that. Because that is how you achieve dveikus to Hashem. The joy in learning Torah and doing mitzvahs is supposed to be synonymous with dveikus. So dveikus doesn't have to be something that's so mystical and foreign. It's simply a state of joy. The Baal Shem Tov's authentic light is something that we can have a guidebook on how to get there ourselves. In fact, the Baal Shem Tov was told that his well springs are the revelation of Mashiach and the ability for there to be da'as in Hashem. You could experience Hashem in everything you do. The plan is through the Baal Shem Tov's teachings to reach that. So the idea of Chabad is to take that message outwards. The chutzah becomes the Chabad, because faith is transcendent. The Baal Shem Tov is associated with Keser, which is beyond. But to line yourself up there, we start with the mind. We start with Chabad. And this is the thinking that takes you to the level of the experience of faith within conscious, normal thinking, normal life experience. So this light that Torah is the quenching. It's likened to manna, because it quenches our hunger. The hunger is just the desire to attain. Here now, when you've achieved joy, that is your pathway, your gateway to dveikus. Look at how Rambam describes how the Nevi'im, the prophets, attained prophecy. They would have a jam session in the courtyard, literally. Shaul comes to snatch David away, and he got so inspired by being in the environment that he too stripped off his garments and joined the crowd. and became overcome with prophecy and was not able to capture King David. It says he stripped off his clothing. It's probably he put on a t-shirt and jeans, and David HaMelech would wear like a kilt, a me'il, to distinguish him as someone who has attained prophecy, resembling a Kohen Gadol that would have the me'il, the kilt is probably the best word. So the way the Torah describes this is Pekudei Hashem Yesharim Mesamchei Lev. If you devote yourself to the laws of Hashem, the Pekudei Hashem, the teachings of Hashem, that is upright and creates a joyous heart. So again, the connection between Torah and joy. And that's why the Torah says here that everything hinges on serving Hashem with joy and goodness of heart. And he gives you a source in the Zohar to connect that. Because this attainment, not of becoming like the Rashbi or Bnei Aliyah, an elevated person, but being a person who recognizes what's worthy celebrating, brings a person to this. Yuchal kol ha'adam lahagia la. Every person can attain this in this way. This is not supposed to be something out of reach. The promise of Chassidus is you could simply love your religion and attain the highest levels through that. You could be Winnie the Pooh, simple, and do it for a good purpose, like to give pleasure to Hashem, and that is everything. You've achieved something that's at the level of the tzaddikim that rejoice in Hashem. So there's two dimensions of learning Torah, the Alter Rebbe goes on to point out. Echad teikef achar tefillah. There's one that you do immediately after davening. We probably fulfill that in saying Tehillim after davening also. We say Psalms. That's considered a form of learning. So immediately after you daven, remember this was all connected yesterday with how it's connected with Shacharis, the whole process of arousing, awakening the love that's inherent to a Jewish soul. You do that every morning through the prayer services that you're supposed to do. Tefillah. Kishema'eres avo v'leimed hatera b'nefesh tzmeya kitsama l'mayim. That when you arouse your love Hashem and learn Torah, so immediately after davening, you're supposed to learn Torah. B'nefesh tzmeya, at the point when you actually have attained some type of advekus to Hashem, because you can't do that when you're like driving your Uber. So davening is the time where we achieve that and acknowledge this thirst that exists within our soul, like the thirst for water, because Torah is likened to water. Then certainly he will rejoice in his service of Hashem throughout the day. In other words, tefillah is awakening this love. You quench that thirst through learning Torah, and that is what comprises rejoicing in your service of Hashem. And therefore you've attained something that resembles the tainug of the tzaddikim, the pleasure that a tzaddik gets in their serving Hashem. Hu shayach achar mili haratzain. That comes about after you fulfilled the divine will. That is the pleasure that follows. So it could come as a reward, sort of historically, when everyone sort of stumbles across that. Or it could be done ahead of time through your own efforts to achieve this experience of something that takes you to a place of tainug, of pleasure. When you celebrate, you get it. It's the proper environment for pleasure to take place. When you celebrate the holidays and your Judaism, and you're bringing your children up in that environment, when you have joy in that, that brings you to a state of dveikus in that awareness. והבחינה השנית היא כשנפל מבחינס אבו הנה בעל עסק כשעסק בעסקי. And the second level there's two ways to learn Torah. One becomes the following the tefillah, so it maintains something that resembles, or just something that's considered a pleasure. The second level of that is when a person falls from the love of Hashem, or no, both the businessman who has to sort of devote himself to making a living, a yeshivael, or someone who is a scholar, who gets on with just a less inspired vibe. So then you have another mechanism to attain the love of Hashem in those times of the day. So you daven, you learn, you say Tehillim, so it extends pleasure throughout the day. You've reached, but when that fades, when you have to involve yourself in other things, you have the opportunity to sit in one of those pods and meditate on Hashem, or just simply turn off your iPhone for a second and think about something meaningful. Because when you think about the various dimensions of the Torah, that is all the infinite light of Hashem, and Hashem and His light are one. So you've just connected to Hashem in the greatest way possible. It slides from Hispainus to Torah. So I think it means whatever Torah you're learning, whatever thoughts you're thinking, even if it's like a sort of more abstract meditation, it's the same idea that those become another mechanism that you can reattain the level that you had in the morning when you had time to actually dive into Hashem. So meditation is not just in the times of prayer. It's available throughout the day. We're saying that is the power of Torah to take you to that level, back to the level of celebrating or actual pleasure in doing it, Vegas. Okay, so I think that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're celebrating the Yom Tov, and everyone should have miracles in their life. What can I say? This is the day, the most auspicious day in Elul. It's the life of Elul. It's the 18, the vertebrae. It's where every single day reflects an entire month's worth. This today being the first month of the year, which was Tishrei last year, or this past year. The day of Chai Elul is the life that connects us with the way to rectify whatever was lacking in that, inaugural month of Tafshin Pei Beis that we're concluding now and supposed to be reaping the reward from. Have a great day.